one must say that it was quite robust, dynamic as usual, and engaged on numerous issues, including some that we had the honor to brief you and update you on. We know that one issue of interest is the issue of the Integrity Commission. We can confirm to yourselves that this National Executive Committee resolved and consistent with the resolution of conference that the report of the Integrity Commission would be included as part of the organizational report. To remind you of what the resolution of the 54th, what the resolution said previously on the IC is that the Integrity Commission will report directly to the National Executive Committee, National General Council, and National Conference. In this instance, we are 7-8 days away from the National Conference. It is only fair and opportune that the Integrity Commission's report forms part of all organizational reports that will be placed before the National Conference. That is the resolution. On all other issues, we have already briefed you. The Treasurer General of the ANC, Comrade Paul Mashatile, who also is in charge of the Secretary General's office, will address a media networking session to be held here in Nasrec on Wednesday from 18 hours. He will use that opportunity to brief and update you on the program of the National Conference, including on critical resolutions taken by the 54th National Conference National Executive Committee, which ends its term next Friday. So if there are issues that members of the media may want to ask about organization, about numerous other issues, that National Executive Committee networking session with the TG would provide that opportunity. The Treasurer General, the Head of Policy, Comrade Jeff Khadebe, the Coordinator of the Secretary General's Office, Comrade Gwen Ramokgopa, will all be there. The TG will give an overall address. Comrade Jeff will deal with the different policy documents that were previously discussed at the National Policy Conference, sent back to structures, including on amendments, constitutional amendments that are most likely to be considered by the National Conference. This includes the possible, that is if conference ratifies, the inclusion of the position of the second Deputy Secretary General, and many others, as well as dealing with the powers of the Integrity Commission, that such powers must be clearly defined in the constitution of the ANC. That includes its own composition as well. The other issue that conference would have to consider is how the National Executive Committee must treat decisions of the Integrity, recommendations of the Integrity Committee, whether they are binding and all of that, or whether they could be referred to a subsequent structure. In this instance, the National Conference, being the next body of the ANC that sit, would receive those reports. So we believe that we have done everything else necessary to make sure that on the 16th of December, we are able to kickstart our National Conference. And we have done like we have done before. We want to thank the role and interest that the media has taken on the work of the African National Congress, and appeal to journalists that please, on organizational matters, talk to us. We are still here, at least until next week, Friday. So if there are questions that members of the media may want to ask for purposes of clarity, we are here. We can deal with those. Okay. Question? Yes, Spa.
From ANC, so simply put, the matter of Phala Phala and the Executive Commission's report will simply be dealt with by the incoming ANC.
Well, simply put, Integrity Commission's reports, I think, Spa, let's look at it broadly. Let's look at them as IC reports and not single out a specific report. And I mean, in fairness to the question itself, because of media reports, it is bound to attract that kind of attention. But all these are reports. If there is a report on Phala Phala that served before the Integrity Commission. It means reports that would be there in the Secretary General's report to the National Conference would include that segment as well. So there is no report or work done by the Integrity Commission which will not serve before conference. For as long as a matter has served before the IC, even if it was by way of an ordinary member volunteering to appear as per the prescriptions or guidelines that really governs the work of the Commission, such would be shared with the National Conference.
Is not referring those two reports to the conference kicking the can back?
Well, Tando, I wouldn't say or want us to treat it as deferral, because the Integrity Commission's reports, I respectfully said when I spoke to yourselves earlier that I would not know which report was due to serve in this National Executive Committee. But now, seeing that this special National Executive Committee, actually, you would recall that our last ordinary NEC is the one we held here a month ago. All these NEC meetings that are sitting are actually special NECs. So, to be honest with you, the National Executive Committee has completed its work. We are done with the organizational report. We have, as the NEC, we have adopted the organizational report, which can now be sent to printers. We have adopted the Treasurer's report, which can now be sent to printers. Guidelines for conference, including the fact that this is an alcohol-free zone and which drinks you can and cannot use here. That is now going to printers for production. So all those things have been dealt with. So there's nothing being deferred. You know, we have fulfilled our responsibilities. What does the resolution say? Are we acting outside the resolution of the organization? If the answer is yes, then we are well within our power to do what we are doing. We have directed our cadres deployed in that space to do everything possible in their power to attend to this. We have said that they must, because we might not be able to meet as an NEC to get such reports, we said they must report on a regular basis to national officials. One of the deployees in this instance happens to be the national chair, who's part of those very national officials. On Wednesday, when the Treasurer General addresses yourselves, he will also be able to give updates. The message we are beginning to get is that we may be moving to, is it lower stage? Yes, we might be moving to lower stages in the next few days. We are saying it is while we appreciate efforts being put by Eskom to deal with this national crisis, we are requesting that we are saying they must do everything else possible, that our electricity is provided outside stages, without stages. So that is what we have said. Looking to capacity issues, we have been told that human capital, from a resources point of view, has also been brought in. We must also caution those that do businesses with Eskom. We have read of some unscrupulous conduct by some who threaten Eskom employees because of big contracts that come with the power utility. That also has got a bearing on the ability of those that work there to do their work. Those who steal cables, those who steal diesel. I mean, we are told scary stories of the things that are being done by those who want to put pressure on Eskom executives. Now, these executives whom we treat as patriots must know that South Africans are on their side and want to see them doing their job without fail. Because the failure of the energy utility is the failure of the economy. Our inability to create jobs, to realize the economic recovery plan that we have all embraced. So we need energy to sustain our own economy. So maybe, you know, we know that it's quite agitating. You know, it's easy to say heads must roll, you know, but I don't think this is the time to be calling for rolling heads. We need to be calling for solution. We need everyone focused. Because while we are focused on getting rid of each other, the people of Stretla, the people of Soweto, the people of Venda don't have electricity. The people of Kwamashu, everywhere else, all corners of the Republic of South Africa need electricity. So we in the leadership must be careful of our own language. We need to motivate those that are at Eskom. Because when you also take their morale down, you also sometimes dampen their spirit when they are doing everything else in their power to make sure that the machine can run.